I've got a load of meat, but it's like getting to that kind of stuff.
It'll come out naturally. I'm the same. I'm like, I've got so much to say about how to say it.
Yeah, Kate, when we done our podcast together, you hardly say anything all the podcasts, and then as soon as we started ours, it's like, who is Kate Lenny? And Kate's just like, boom. It's like more than we've said in the 12 years we've been together.
I know.
I'll close that door, because that'll get my mind off of that.
And yeah, like toilet breaks, anything like that, all totally fine.
All good, yeah.
Any odds to me? Use yours as well?
Yeah, so, yeah, I suppose I can chat about that on the podcast.
Yeah, we can. Right, let's get started.
All right.
Waygood, right? That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Waygood. Yeah.
Waygood.
Waygood. I am Waygood.
It's one of those, man. Since I was a child, there's no escaping that.
No.
Yeah, it's like
It doesn't leave you.
that like playground banter. That when someone says it, they think they're the original person to say it. You're like, oh god.
Happened in
Not
the garage
again.
the other week when my van blew up, and I was just like, he thought he'd, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
like,
he's like, I'm the first person that's ever come up with this, eh? And you're like, yeah, mate, yeah, you are. I know, I hear it. Cool. So I suppose the first question is who is Jack Waygood?
Yeah, so I'm a visual artist and I run a small business, Work of Iron, doing sort of focus on like blacksmithing, architectural ironwork, and sort of a bit of a creative approach really, and then visual artwork as well. So there's definitely a bit of a sort of a split between the two practices.
Okay.
And I was just on a TV show called Make It a Market, and in the show they've sort of like tried to focus on how you're going to divide your two practices. Because only a year ago I had everything on one website, and even my mates here, they're saying like, I'm scrolling through your website, you've got a sculpture there and you've got a pair of hinges next to it. And it's like, what's going on? Who do I call? So on that website, we've just, on the TV show, they've basically been trying to divide the two. And I've created two websites now. So there's Jack's Waygood, which is like the visual art, and there's Work of Iron, which is the architectural blacksmithing, some sort of restoration, conservation stuff, and what else? Courses, products as well. So I'm trying to create an e-commerce part of the website. So it's something that I've realised in my practice. You know, I'm 2 years, so there's a whole journey behind Work of Iron. I've been working in industry for over 10 years, and then setting up on my own. So I've only been technically self-employed, technically trading for the last 2 years. And in these 2 years, it's still a bit of a development. It's still like going through the stages of what direction is it that I really want to push it.
Yeah. So that's what you do, but who is
Jack
he?
Waygood?
Because that's the big one.
Oh, well, I don't know. How deep do we want to go? I'm still working that out as well, I think.
Something nice about that, eh? Still working it out.
Yeah.
And still being in a position to work it out. I think a lot of creatives find a lot of solace in that. We certainly do.
Yeah.
I seen a great thing the other day, and it was a graphic designer, and his post was, it was just black post, white text, I am a recovering graphic designer. And I was like, I'm a recovering engineer. Like there's something about that you're still discovering who you are.
Yeah.
So who is the question, not what do you do?
No, it's good, yeah. Thanks for reiterating. I was born in Manchester.
Yep.
Welsh family. My mum was a textile artist, so craft and being self-employed and doing your thing. I guess I always knew that I was going to do that.
Right.
I think I did. I think I might not have known, but I had some sort of I was traumatised growing up pretty much. So it was like, you really try and forget about all of that. And as soon as I got away from it and kind of moved into my teenage years or whatever, started blacksmithing at 18. Okay. That's when I really came into my own, I'd say. But even then, like, I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and someone was saying how much of a challenge it is, like in the early days as well, like to learn a craft, how testing that is. And I definitely felt, that's what's great about what you guys are doing. I'm really relating to a lot of the conversations that you're having with people. And yeah, that like testing period was just like, man, am I going to keep doing this, or what else would I do? And now I'm so glad. And, you know, in some ways I see it as a gift to be doing blacksmithing. It's like my mum said, it's a blessing and a curse, and she's quite right about that. Like, it's 50% nightmare, 50% like winning and loving life. And I think that. Yeah, I think it's become a gift, and I was really glad that I carried on and persevered, because I can now make stuff. You know, I think I got into it wanting to do art, and then I'd realised that I couldn't really make the things that I wanted to be doing as an artist.
Right.
So I had to learn the craft. And then
Right.
I feel like after, what is it, 1,500 hours, the rule or something they say?
10,000 hours.
10,000. Definitely done more than that now.
Yeah.
I was like,
10,000 hours.
yeah, I'm pretty handy now, and it's great to be able to make stuff, you know, really come up with silly ideas or whatever.
Because you understand the material and how to do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of worth in that, isn't there? Because I think that 10,000 hours, and we're big subscribers to that. But you look at so much that you see online, and it just feels like people are just popping up out of nowhere and just starting and being good at it, like beneath the surface.
Yeah.
We're all doing no matter how talented you are, we're all doing our 10,000 hours somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So at 18 you said you were when you started blacksmithing.
Yeah.
How did you pick up blacksmithing at 18? Because it's a bit of an old worldy craft. There's not a lot of people doing it. No,
definitely. It's I was one of the lucky ones, I think. I think there's two types of lucky ones for when it comes like entry levels to blacksmithing. There's the ones that come for it and it's a family trade from the get-go.
Yep.
Or then it's the ones that sort of find their way in some sort of educational whatever.
Right.
I mean, education saved me in lots of ways. And when I finally got to Hereford, they do the Hereford BA Artist Blacksmithing course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was at university, like the only university in the country.
That does hands-on blacksmithing at that university?
Yeah, and it's
Credit to
artistic as well, yeah. So you're doing creative studies, you know, you're learning your art history, you're learning how art business works, you're learning how contemporary art circulates, all these sorts of things. And there's not anywhere quite like it. And I think there's probably only 3 places in the world that are similar. One's Steneby HDK in Sweden, which I went there later on, and then the other one is in Carbon, Illinois. So there's 3 sort of,
ones worth talking about,
universities or educational facilities that sort of teach what was known as sort of artist blacksmithing.
Yeah.
So it started there, and like I think by the 3rd year, I broke my hand the 3rd year and came back and did 4 years.
Right.
I wasn't a good student by any stretch of the imagination, but I fully immersed myself in it, and I think at that point as well, because you kind of you've left the place that you grew up. I'm in a totally new environment. I'm meeting lots of people that are like-minded. We're all there for a reason. And it might not be that we're all there because we know anything about blacksmithing.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about blacksmithing until I turned up there. But I knew that I wanted to make stuff, and I knew that I was an artist. And then when we turned up, I'd made a few friends and stuff, and I always wanted to travel. I think that's a big thing that was quite obvious to me from a young age. I always wanted to go see the world, basically. And that's something I think is really similar to what you guys have done recently around the States, because when I was at uni, I started to meet friends who were doing journeymanships.
Right.
So they were going travelling, and it was a bit of banter. It was like, who could go the furthest afield and work for the maddest person you could find. And like, I just loved some of the stories, and like, I wasn't particularly confident in my skills at all, but I knew that I really wanted to do it. And I sent a message. I went on the British Artist Blacksmith directory, and it was like pretty primitive when I was looking at it. And on that directory, there was only 3 people from anywhere else apart from the UK in the directory. And I was like, 1 in Germany, 1 in France, and 1 in Italy. I sent them all a message, and I got 1 reply. And it came back to me in Italian.
Nice.
And it was very profound.
That's so Italian, isn't it? Like,
And it was super profound. It was like, I would be honoured to teach you, and to, you know, and it's probably not, well, it isn't that common, you know. And in fact, what I went on to learn was that the traditions of journeymanships have developed in different ways in different countries. And in the UK, it's kind of much more of a self-directed, self-guided experience. And I think those people that want to do it are going to go and do it. Mm-hmm. But absolutely. There's not really any kind of support.
Yeah.
You know, apart from what I've tried to do, which is set up a platform for people to go and find out about how you do a journeymanship.
Yeah.
I can't kind of go off on lots of tangents, but there is like an underlining thread.
We're here for tangents, man. We're here for that.
When I was at uni, so I got this message back, and it was Andrea Iori, and I went and spent the summer in Italy working for him. Nice. Because I was like, you know, we've got the summer, I need to get some more skills. I'll go and work for this fella. And the kind of trade was bed and board. So I was staying, and he was feeding me, keeping me alive, and I was working in his forge and doing bits and bobs. And he was really great. Like, he was really good friends with Claudio Botero, who is a sort of an absolute master in the trade, internationally.
Right.
Incredible artist and blacksmith and person. And Andrea was really good pals with him, so I'd kind of managed to see a lot of the Italian scene and get a feel for that, as well as kind of being in the UK and getting a feel for our sort of smithing culture. Yeah. It was cool to be in the Italian one. And in fact, on the first visit that I went to see it, Andrea, we went down to Tuscany. Mm-hmm. And every 2 years they have the World Benali International Forging World Championship. So they invite everybody to Tuscany. It's this beautiful little village called Stia on a hilltop, really, really tranquil, like bliss. And then they turn the whole sort of central square into a forging arena.
Oh, nice. Is it very like classic Italian square, like well in the middle, kind of exactly as you'd expect?
Totally, man. Yeah. It's really beautiful. It's really idyllic.
Really tranquil, and then you've got boys clanging at metal for a couple of weeks.
You've got, you know, people turning up by the busload. They've all got their team T-shirts on. It's kind of cool. It's not nerdy yet. Like it kind of, it's got that potential to be really kind of cringe, but
like
it's not.
timber sport kind of stuff. You know, it's got that potential where it's like you guys are all way too into cutting wood. Yeah. But actually, when you watch it, you're like, this is really cool.
Yeah, totally. All of it really. But no, it was a real amazing thing, and going there with Andrea, and like he entered us into the competition. So
cool.
It was like really old school. He's the smith, I'm his apprentice or journeyman, whatever.
Yep.
We had 2 hours at midnight till 2 a.m. or something,
Jesus.
Which was good. That was good. That was like the coolest hour.
Yeah.
You know, it's so hot in Italy. And we made a piece together, and
that's really
you know. So it was a really special experience, and you get to meet everybody. We had like the Italian kind of British Arts Association, a big long table, and they're all frantically like, you know, having a good night and stuff. And I can't speak a word of Italian really, so I'm sort of like trying to tune in to what they're saying, and you're just sort of taken under Andrea's wing. So it was a really amazing sort of experience. I was only 19 or 20 when I'd gone over there and
it's really brave of you to reach out to somebody to be like, hey, can you teach me the ropes, basically, and then be like, if you hadn't reached out to somebody, you wouldn't have had that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Some people
Did you understand
scared to do that.
how big a name he was and how well connected he was at that time?
No, not at all, not really.
It's kind of cool that, imagine you didn't know how big a name he was at the time. You'd be like, maybe not contact him. And actually, like, I could just contact him.
Yeah, totally. And it's kind of like a different scene in Italy as well, and I could be wrong. I wouldn't like to say that I definitely know how it is, but it felt like the blacksmiths over there, it's more like of a signature name. You're more of an artist, you know.
Nice.
So it was quite different so when you went to his forge, it was sort of like lots of sculptures, and he had everything as well, like all the toys. Like, it's a really amazing workshop. But he was just rocking it. So then after that experience, I was just like, that's what I want to do, you know. As soon as I leave Hereford and I've done the degree and stuff, I just want to travel and meet people and do blacksmithing. But I don't know why I didn't. I think something else happened. There was another sort of tangent in my life that was like, oh, let's do that. And it was more I got blacklisted from the house that I was living in, so they wouldn't rent me anywhere to stay in Hereford anymore.
Right.
So I got a caravan, and then I moved onto a site with a load of mates, and that was quite another sort of scene that I was getting involved with. And a good friend of mine that ran the Nowhere Forge.
Okay.
They travel
I've heard
around.
of that. I don't know a lot about it, but I've heard of it. It's a travelling,
Yeah,
like constant. It's a team basically, isn't it? There's a number of them together.
that's right. Yeah, is travelling forge, and we were going around all the festivals.
And again, it's artist-based forgery, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty
Forgery.
much.
It's artist-based blacksmithing.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of is like you say, because we're a team, because we're a crew. It's kind of everybody has different skills. Whatever it is that you're into, you kind of brought to the table. But it is definitely coming from a sort of art and architectural. No, it's size a toolmaker as well, though. So there is a mash of stuff. There's not very many like fantasy weapons and swords.
Yeah,
and
right here.
there's no shearing horses, nothing like that. That doesn't happen at the Nowhere Forge. Not that I'm aware of. It might have happened on the odd drunken night or something. But no, it was just really cool. You know, you're of that age that you want to go and party, and we were able to go around festivals and have some fun, but also doing what we do and bringing blacksmithing to the people. You know, getting it out of the workshop and letting people
Appreciate it.
get a feel for it. You know, and it was like of that era now of like schools not teaching kids how to use hand tools and stuff like this, and we're just like right in front of people who work in offices and we're swinging hammers and hitting hot
Kids are
metal.
like, I want to
It's
do
like,
that.
Yeah, like, you know, it was.
There's a huge worth in that. You know, Shannon and Bill Oyster that do the bamboo fly rods, like they do week of classes, week off, week of classes, and all of their custom, and to the best of our knowledge, all of their custom is people that work in offices that want to use these again, want to use their hands again, right? Yeah. Because the people are so detached from it. It's the reason we're doing this is like show people you don't need to be fully detached from it.
Totally, yeah.
So how long did you do that for? So you're sort of 18, 19, you've finished in Italy, and then you go to, you get kicked out of your houses, you jump in a caravan and go with the Nowhere Forge.
Yeah, man, yeah.
How long were you doing the Nowhere Forge for? You finished uni at this time, right?
Yeah, we finished uni. Right. I ended up living in mid Wales for a bit. We were still sort of transient, and I had a little workshop and I was doing that. The Nowhere Forge was kind of stuff that we do during the summer.
Right.
And it was totally Simon's sort of enterprise, but he did, you know, he took lots of support on from all of his mates as well, and it was just a brilliant thing. But as that was kind of going on, I was also getting involved with the British Artist Blacksmith Association. So Bar, that's kind of like the biggest club in town for smiths to get together, and they'll throw like an annual event, and they've got a magazine and stuff like this.
Cool.
So I got into that in a big way, and kind of through going to bar events and festivals, I could start to meet contacts, and then I think I was basically doing the Nowhere Forge. This is like what happened in my early 20s. It's like total madness as to try and figure out what actually happened in my early 20s. It was like, Nowhere Forge, doing lots of British Artist Blacksmith Association stuff. I set up my own workshop. I then also got a job as a special effects technician. So that was actually bringing in most of the money. I was working on like Casualty and Pole Dark and New Worlds, and just going around Naughty Boy stuff, smoke effects, lighting practical fires, all this sort of stuff, body hits, cutthroats and things. All really good, good fun. And then I think because of the lack of traditional and technical skill that I had in the forging, I went to do something called the Design and Forge Work Skills course back at Hereford again, and that was part-time over 2 years.
Okay.
And that's sort of what this lot is. So it's like really trad blacksmithing. And then I really started to get my focus into traditional forging. And I was really interested in like heritage skills in the history of the UK as well, like our Industrial Revolution, how important it is that it sort of all happened here. You know, your engineering mind as well. I started to try and get better at that sort of stuff.
So did that course come with the sort of history and theoretical as well as the hands-on traditional stuff?
Yeah, totally. It did, because it in a kind of indirect way, it taught you about the history, because it taught you about the processes and how those processes developed. So you're sort of looking at fire welding, and you're looking at that was what we were using before the welders came along. So it's why this happened, you know, and then what was going on in that sort of era. It was really fantastic. And also just my skills were just like instantly better.
Yeah.
And I instantly enjoyed it so much more. Like being able to fire weld was just like, now we're forging, now we're swinging a hammer. So that was really wonderful.
I think that's a big sort of like coming of age for a blacksmith. Like I've done a little bit of blacksmithing and tool making, knife making and stuff, but never like fire welding. Like that seems to be the sort of the first glass ceiling. Like once you've done that, you're in a level. That is you're a blacksmith at that point, right? You don't need a MIG welder. You can crack on.
It's really special. It's even products that I'm making today, everyone will tell you that's not the way you do it. But these are all fire welded together, just because I love I love doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was at that point, I think, doing the DFS course, getting involved with the British Artist Blacksmith Association, and doing the Nowhere Forge. I set up my own workshop and I'd done a few commissions here and there, but I wasn't like, I don't know really what it was. I still had itchy feet, I guess. Having been to Italy and seen a workshop and seen everything going on there, I wasn't content to be like settling down. And I'd done 3 years in Brecon, kind of living that life. And then I was like, okay, what's next? So we just put caution to the wind. Me and my partner at the time moved onto a narrowboat, and I got it was lovely, and we were living on the boat, and I got a job at Iron Art, and this place was brilliant. There was like 13 people in the forge or something, and it's all swinging, all singing, all dancing, and it's kind of modern techniques as well. So a lot of forging, but a lot of welding, a lot of site work, a lot of finishing, the whole shebang, and traditional ironwork as well. So NHIG, their headquarters are based there. So, they were doing work on in Wells Cathedral, and they were doing work, just big restoration jobs, and lots of contemporary stuff as well. And because I came with all this sort of enthusiasm for forging, Andy was an exception to the rule. Like, he was the best boss I've ever had in my life. Like, it was just such a fair guy. Yeah, he just had me. He just like did it, and like helped me sort of hone my skills in a way, because he gave me the opportunities. So in the forge, I was the one that really had the enthusiasm for learning how we could add forging to different processes. How, we're grinding journals on gates now. I'll make a swage and bam, 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 we've got a 30 mil journal swage now. It's on the rack. Like one of them actually, swing swages. Like, that's what they use there now. So they could replace some of the traditional. They could replace some of the modern things with traditional things, and the traditional thing was actually better than it's trying to reinvent the wheel. But if you've got the skills that you can bring back into the industry, you kind of.
But finding the people with those skills would have been very hard for Andy at the time. Because there isn't a lot of you in existence. Let's be very frank about it. There's not. There's a lot of machine shops in existence, but there's not a lot of you in existence.
Always helps that you've got the drive and the passion and enthusiasm.
And like fair play
craft.
for him, exactly, for that craft, and fair play to him for noticing it and being like, right, cool, let's do it. That's cool. That's really cool.
And Andy's whole team as well. Like, there's some really exceptional makers there. This is what I always think as well. Like, I don't really rate myself as like a good artist or a really good blacksmith. I think I'm good.
I don't think many people do though. That's the thing.
That's part of it. No, for sure. But what I mean is to say is that, like, the ones that are at a place like Iron Art, where they're getting their wage paid, they're in there 5 days a week, all of their hours. They must have done so many more hours than the average like one-man band or whatever. And they don't even get the light of day. I don't mean that, but they,
No, I know what you mean though. They're kind of like, they exist under the company's name, don't they? They're not. Whereas if you were doing those hours and those many projects coming through the door under your own name, like, that's a whole different world. Can you imagine you were just doing like, obviously as a one-man business, you've got books to do, you've got your e-commerce to do, you've got your websites to do, you've got things like this to sit down. Can you imagine you were just like 9 to 5 forging every single day? The trajectory your skill set would be on would just be going vertical. It'd be mad. But then the boys that don't have the business to do, it's kind of 6 and 2 3s, isn't it? Because then they might not have that same motivation. Whereas if you get someone that does have that motivation, that just strictly does not want to do the business side of it.
Totally.
I get that. So I think it'd be a special character, but if you've got that special character, the things you could do. Imagine not having to worry about your expenses. Imagine like being like, oh well, it's company steel. It'd be wicked, wouldn't it?
Damn, totally. I remember working on a gate there, and it was a really nice little gate. It was all forged, and I was doing overtime on it. I think they had 4 weeks. They planned to get that gate done, and I'd done it in 2 or something. So I wouldn't like leave it alone.
Yeah.
You just kind of going in. I was just like, if we had that all the time, I'd stay. But yeah, after Iron Art, I was a bit more. I can't remember how long we did there. 18 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty settled. Partner, dog, boat, family life, working. It's all tickety-boo, kind of carrying on. And then I don't know what it was. I just really still wanted to get back out and see more of the world.
Right.
Ready to do something, a bit more further afield. And I applied for the Winston Churchill Memorial Trust Fund and the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Trust.
Yep.
And got them both. And they basically helped pay for me to travel again as a journeyman, but this time document what I did. So this is what's really similar to what you guys are doing now, is that I went all around Europe, and I went off to Japan and New Zealand, and I met lots of blacksmiths.
Japan, the dream.
It's a dream. It's really special.
Is it?
And sitting down, as well as sitting down and talking to them and learning their life story, I would be in the workshop day in, day out, working for them as well. And that happened in a lot of different ways. But I think it was over the next 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years, I sort of started in Sweden. I was doing some axe making over there,
Cool.
Gränsfors Brooks, saw that, travelling along, 30 kilo tool bag on my back, hitchhiking with an axe hanging out the side like that.
It's about you.
Yep.
Did
Did you work in Gränsfors?
I did, yeah. I went
Nice.
over and did a bit of axe making.
Remember watching the video of their massive press, you know, the one that's like each stage of it, and I was just like, it's like, that's the dream.
It's
'Cause
really,
it's just like, it's super rhythmic, innit? It's like, gadoof, 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 but it's a different swage in each block, and it's just like, in.
yeah,
Man, that's a dream.
it is really special. And and Frederick Tallinn, who's the blacksmith there, he's such a Viking of a guy as well. You couldn't make it up, yeah. If you want Viking axe making or whatever, that's the place.
Who have I went through a bit of a phase of collecting them. I've got, all of mine's are TT. I know that. You know they're all initialed?
Aye, yeah.
All of mine's are TT. I'm sure they're all TT,
Yeah,
if I went back and looked.
yeah,
Quite cool.
Yeah.
Don't know that.
yeah.
Because all the blacksmiths initialed them at the time. So
Ah.
so Sweden, you're at Gränsfors, which is kind of like, for people listening, and it's worth going back and watching some of the Gränsfors thing, because it is a big production shop, but it's kind of done in a yes, it's industrialised, but it's like kind of old school industrial. It's not computer industrialised, is it? It's like old school industrialised. There's still hands-on product kind of thing, which must have been very different from like small Italian shop or like little gates and stuff. Like, because that's a step up.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're kind of getting to see
industrial.
different perspectives of
Yeah.
Yeah.
how the craft's done, sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, totally. And in fact, I think that's what I guess Iron Art was not industrial on that level because it doesn't have such massive machines,
Yeah.
but they do have incredible, buzz about the place. You open the door and you can hear the workshop going. But with Gränsfors and Karlskoga and Roger Lund, this was like heavy industrial forging. In Roger Lund's place, there's I think there's a 1500 kg and an 800 kg and a 600 kg, could be wrong, power hammers, massive ones, all in a row. I think they're painted like the stop, wait, go lollipop signs as well.
Yeah.
It's quite a little bit of it. I was working in there and he had like a kerosene furnace that you've got a billet that's 110 mil round by 400 mil or so.
Yeah.
And you're heating up 20 odd of them in a kerosene furnace. You've got a long pair of tongs that are metre and a half length on them. you whack a lever and then the door flies up. You've got about 10 seconds to whip one of those out before you're like absolutely fried.
Yeah.
Throw it over to your mate, literally throw it, and then he's like hitting it down or whatever, and then popping it onto the hammer, and then bam, 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 and he's just like upsetting a huge billet in a wanner, and then it's onto a rack. Repeat, rinse and repeat. We just do, and that was for making gears for Volvo. So Volvo come along with a big crate of metal, different steels, and different qualities. So you send them all through the same process, and then they'll receive them back, machine them, and then because they've been forged or they've been tempered and hardened in different ways, they're like quality testing, basically, seeing which one's better. But that sort of stuff, it was just mad, and I really enjoyed it. It was great. Yeah. I wouldn't do it forever, but it was like a mad experience.
It's a cool thing to see. Like, not a lot of certainly people in smaller shops like this and one-man bands, like, you ain't going to go and buy a 1,500 kilo press. Like, you build workshops around those. Those big presses, they're like meters and meters and meters of deep foundation under them, and then you happen to build a workshop over the top of it. They're big, big units. Yeah. And without that exposure, I wonder how much of it you'll be able to tell me, like, opens your eyes to, no, that is possible, because I've seen it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it builds a confidence in your work. I don't know if I'm quite on the same page, but in terms of what I could potentially do now in the future, it does open your mind to, you could move that. Yeah, you could move that. Yeah. You'd need that facility, but you could do it. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And there's so many smiths that have gone there as well. Like, at the moment, I'm watching Pete Matilla and looking at his stuff, and I'm just like, that's where I want to be, Like, that's the one. That sort of scale. And he's just been over in the States at that centre, and they've just got big hammers again, and it's a lot of fun stuff out there. Sweden, and then through being in Sweden, I ended up settling down in Steneby for a little while, and this was like Steneby HDK. It's like a splinter group off of the Gothenburg University. Okay. Very similar to Hereford. And in fact, I think they do an exchange, so they send students from Hereford over to them, Vicky Verky, and I was there for 9 months on a free stand, and it was just like, I didn't realise, and I think it's true, but I don't realise it, but at the time, I think that was the best time of my life, like ever. Like, out of the whole shebang now, I'm just like, that was the one. That was it. It's just, you've just got amazing lakes, like beautiful forests. The moose come down during the autumn, start eating all the apples and get a bit tipsy. Everyone bangs them off, and then it's like, I don't know, it's some like really simple sort of life, but a really sort of quiet place for people to just focus on their work. And I've been working in industrial forges, architectural fabricatory forges, individual artists, whatever, and then not really focusing on my own work at all. I've been trying to learn the craft, which is kind of what I said right at the beginning. When I'd gone into Hereford, I'd gone there as an artist, but I was like, I can't make my art because I've got no bloody skills. Right. So had to
dedicate that time just to skills.
Learn the trade, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't matter what the output is, I'm learning the input at this point.
That's it, yeah. So put your blinkers on a bit and get sidetracked for a bit by stuff and get really into tool making or get really into whatever it is. But this was now like back in art school with 9 months to just focus on my artwork. I was like, this is great. So suddenly with all these new skills, I could put them into the stuff, and I started making sculptures and things. And I'd come across, I think it was marionettes, being in Europe, lots of marionette puppet, and having that kind of like festival, living a van life kind of stuff going on. That's the style and the scene that I was really into. So I made a sculpture with a puppet on it, and then one of the teachers said like, "Oh, well, why don't you make the puppet move?" I was like, "Yeah, that's what they do, isn't it? Yeah, they articulate this object manipulation." And this puppet was just a solid forged thing, and then the next one come about, and it was all jointed, and I'd had like little half lap joints and put it on strings and things, and then one of the exciting things was I put it in the furnace and pulled it out, and it's glowing puppet. And I was like, this is badass. Like, and it's a total contradiction to what puppetry is. These things are not light, they're not elegant, they're big, lumpy, heavy chunks of metal that move. And I'm still working with that today.
Oh, cool.
as an artist. But after Sweden, I'd gone over to Japan on their scholarship. And went to Sakai.
And what scholarship was that?
Estrik Eriksson. So it was actually the lads that I was with had already got the funding to go over there as a school trip.
Right.
And then they said, because they delayed it for a year for whatever reason, they were like, can we have the other students come on? We need another 10 tickets or whatever. And they just said, yeah, no worries. Sweden's amazing. Sweden's so good. They gave us 800
We were in
quid
Norway for 6 months and it was much the same. They're just like, what, students will benefit for this? Yeah, make it happen.
Yeah.
And then it's someone's job just to make it happen because they feel someone will benefit from it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's fantastic, yeah. It's a really great country to be in for education. Apart from the Brexit, because that happened when I was there. That happened when I was there, so I was literally travelling around like a bad smell.
Yeah, trying to make everyone understand, like, nobody's voting for this. I don't know how we're going to go through, right?
Yeah. It helps to be a hippie sometimes.
Yeah. So, Japan. You end up in Japan.
Yeah.
Indulge me. I've got a major one for Japan at the minute. Like,
No,
that's one of the places that we need to visit. We need to do the tour. You know, I don't know how we would negotiate language barriers or getting about, or I just feel that I feel you need an introduction into Japan.
Yeah.
And then once you're in it, it's like
an amazing world of craft for sure. I can't say too much from my experience. I was only there for 2 weeks, but I ended up going south into Sakai, which is like a district east of Osaka. Yeah, east of Osaka, and I think it's traditionally where all the samurai swords were being made.
Okay.
And then with the change of the time, they turned into making knives because there's a massive shifting industry and less.
Yep.
I think the swords are made now are more like ceremonial, not so many whatever's going on. But the thing that I experienced was a sort of like community that lived in this one specific area, and every however far along would be another knife making shop.
Okay.
And the first one that I went into, the guy was a bit sort of standoffish and a bit like kind of reserved, and I was like really enthusiastic. And I realised that I didn't want to upset him and I didn't want to be intrusive or anything like that. So I, respectfully, okay, no worries. But I did kind of leave the shop feeling a bit like, like I'm so close, like I've come so far. And I got into this other shop and the woman was saying to me, oh, no, he's just well grumpy. Like, he's just really grumpy. Like, you want to go see Mr. Happy? He's round the corner. He'll to into the next place. And this guy was like, really happy to see me. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then he brought his daughter down and she could translate. So she was speaking.
Cool.
She was translating for us. Jumped into the forge. It's like from floor level, you've got a metre pit. And they get down into this pit. And then at your waist is your anvil. You got a treadle, you got a hammer to the right of you, and the furnace to the left of you. So this thing about smithing, having it all super accessible, you stand at the anvil, you shouldn't have to move around the workshop too much. You can kind of do it all there.
Right.
That's what Japan was like for the knife making.
Okay.
It was all just super accessible.
nice.
Bam, bam, bam. I had a go at making a couple of knives and stuff. He was really happy, like he took my address and things, ground them up and then sent them in the post for me
No way,
afterwards.
really?
So, yeah, I've got two knives from Japan, which were brilliant.
That's so nice.
But I just saw it as a tourist. When I was in Japan, I was just a tourist, really.
Yeah.
But again, when you're doing a journeymanship, it's a bit of that as well. Like if you're going to go to the farthest reaches of the world, you don't just want to be focusing on how to rivet a pair of tongs together. You want to be seeing the culture and tasting the food and meeting the locals.
Experiencing it,
And,
making memories too.
Yeah, there's what I find really interesting about this and about the travelling we've managed to do so far and the travelling we've got planned for the next few years is I could speak to you and then I could go and speak to the American you and I could go and speak to the French you and the Japanese, and they're all wildly different.
Mm-hmm.
There are stories of how they've got there is wildly different. There's stories of why they do it's wildly different, and that to me is really special about all this, because output could be similar if not same. The lead up's totally different. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to capture with the podcast is like anyone that's listening to this that has an interest in doing it, like you don't have to follow a set path. Mm-hmm. There's so many different ways to get there, right? Like you've just explained a wildly different way to get there. From Derek Melton in the States, the last blacksmith we spoke to, totally different. Couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's definitely one of our goals.
It's really interesting, and it's like, I think it's true, it takes all sorts, and it's kind of a bit of a melting pot. And I think that because what I did with the Churchill Fellowship is, you know, I'd already been a journeyman from a young age, and I'd been around and that, and then I'd applied for the money to kind of do an extended journeymanship. And in doing that extended journeymanship, my mission was to bring back information to make it more accessible and easy for other people to go out and do it. Because I never came from any money, and I wanted to go out and abroad, and I did it on a shoestring. But I also did it with funding, you know. And I'm like, I'd really like to try and set up at least a small grant for people to be able to go, there's 500 quid to get you started, to get you over the pond, and away you go.
Well, it's one of our big 10, 15-year goals, is that a portion of whatever We Are Makers make will be a grant going forward. Now, whether that's just someone that wants to do one wild project or go explore something, I don't know what that looks like yet. We've got, as I say, at least 10 more years work to get to that point where we could do that. But yeah, I think it's important, right? Like, we're all, ultimately, you sound exactly the same, we're all here for the larger sort of craft sphere that it is. And yeah, it only grows if we all promote it, like if we all water it and feed it, kind of thing.
Totally, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm here today as well, really. It isn't, you know, there's a little bit of self-promotion, but it is about giving back to the craft, you know. For me, it's been a game changer. It's really made my life a lot of fun, you know, and I've definitely met so many people. We all struggle with it, and it's like together, if we all just put in, then we get more out of something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So you're back for Japan.
Yeah, and I then left Sweden, took off in a transit van, and classic, go around Europe in a van, and went to Copenhagen and saw some blacksmiths in Freetown, Christiania, and then I went to Germany, Czech Republic, through Austria, and into Switzerland, and then down to Italy, to finish back at Stier. Which was the blacksmithing festival that happens every 2 years. Yeah, so a nice full circle, and along the road I stopped off, and I'd work for a couple of weeks here, a month there, a couple of days here, dropping in on different blacksmiths, and you know, and meeting them and doing what you're doing, chatting. How do they make their work? What's it all about? How did it? You know, just learning their life story really. And that was just really, really incredible. And it's given me friends for life as well. You know?
Absolutely.
It's like, what you're doing this summer now, you can try and
friends everywhere.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
So that was wonderful. After Stier, I went home and chilled out for a bit. But the thing that happened while I was in Germany was a bit of a game changer again. So when I got the Churchill, they'd said, on your fellowship, it's going to be life-changing. And I said, I'm sure it is. Like, I don't know what that means. What is it that's going to be? You know, I'm going to go do this thing, come back, and then be like, what do I do for work now? Yeah. That's the standard. But what happened was when I was in Germany, on the whim, the guy that I was working for, Heiner, had a friend over in New Zealand, and he was saying that we would like to put you in contact with him, and would you like to go and work on TV and film out in New Zealand? I said yes, straight away. I didn't even think twice. It was like, let's do it. I didn't, you know, I've not got a big agenda. And then as soon as I got back to the UK, I think I had 2 months downtime in Cardiff, and then went straight over to New Zealand. Started working on the Lord of the Rings Game of Rings of Power TV series, and we were there up till the pandemic, basically. So that was like, suddenly I'm in New Zealand, and it's like, it's winter at home, and it's sunny
summer.
here. This is brilliant. Why don't we do that all the time? That's like,
We've talked about it. We've talked about maybe one winter we'll just go to Australia and then do another podcast tour in Australia and just make We Are Makers a way to avoid the winter.
Definitely a good idea. Definitely.
Cool.
And that was recently, because Rings of Power was recently. My pal just finished up on the UK side of it very recently. So that must have been
2020.
2020, yeah.
It was pre-pandemic. I was listening to what was going on the radio, and every day you go to work, it was getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And then and that put an end to that. And then it was the lockdown, and then so that really kind of put a massive highlight on that travelling experience. You know, I'd been away for ages, and then I'll go to the furthest place you could possibly go.
Go, I know.
So that really was the icing on the cake. But coming back, I was like pretty tired, actually.
You've done a lot.
Yeah, it was like a whirlwind adventure. But I was just like, right, now I'm definitely want to just put down some roots and chill for a bit. So I was in that state of how do I want to do that? And I thought I'd wanted to do it for ages, really. Before I'd looked at Hereford as an option for education, I'd looked at Edinburgh.
Right.
Because I'd always known about ECA being really good, the sculpture workshops and stuff. So I was like, that's going to be great. So actually then was the perfect timing. Well, I thought it was. I thought, I'm not just going to sit around on universal credit. I'll go and do a year's education. So I did that, but a bad idea really. Practical skills in a workshop that's not open was a bit difficult.
Not your fault.
But it gave me the chance to actually start reflecting on what it is that I want to do. So in that year I was like, right, I am tired and I would like to now put my roots down for a bit. So I did the year at the Edinburgh sculpture workshop, ECA, and then I was like, spend that year actually more thinking about business and setting up Work of Iron. So as soon as I finished the masters, that was it. I was like ready to roll and see about trying to carve my own path now and really start making my own work as well.
And was that the first time you'd really considered tangenting off the journeyman path and going your way? Yeah,
I think it was. I had the opportunity to get a pretty decent job in a workshop, but I think I'd always known. I think even when I was in New Zealand, lots of different places I was working, I was like, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that myself.
I don't need to work for someone.
Nah, it's like how many bosses do you want? It's just always been that kind of mind, I guess, that wants to. I really want to make my own artwork. That's what I wanted to do from the get-go. So
there's one thing being the metal worker side of it. You could do that working for someone else, but being an artist and a craftsman, exactly, Kate, it's personal. What you said there's the exact way to describe it. It's personal. You can't be an artist. My firm belief, happy to hash it out with anybody, is you can't be an artist or a craftsperson for someone else. Because there's something inherently personal, inherently you in that
It's just your style,
work.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Totally. And I think it's kind of as important, craft is really important. We need, we look at the face value of things. We want things that are made really well, made to last, made locally, this sort of stuff. With art, we also need the world to look good around us, the environment to look interesting and exciting. They're two different sides of the coin, but both very important. And I kind of, having done the masters in contemporary art, like fine art, that's what I was studying. I was like, I've got the skills as a maker, but now I'm trying to educate my head a bit and try and think a bit more about why or what I could do that is useful. Because I think that's what, being a blacksmith, that was kind of always the trajectory, is you want to be useful. How can I make my skills useful to people? And it's like, well, now as an artist, how can you do that? And I've really got inspired by Grayson Perry and what he does with, making really beautifully well-made pots, but also putting a bit of a dynamic and a bit of a spin on them. It's so clever. It's so clever and it's so good and it's so rewarding for people to come and experience those kinds of things. So I'm in between worlds really still, because I'm running my business Work of Iron, doing architectural stuff. I've done some gates, I've done some railings, I've just done a shepherd's hut for a friend because it was a bit of a, let's have a go.
Yeah.
And what else? Bits and bobs. And then when it comes to the artwork, that's when I get really excited, because that's like your whole kind of anything in the world, anything's possible really. And I've met, bizarrely as well, all these places I lived, I know more musicians and performers in Edinburgh than I do anywhere else. And I don't really know any blacksmiths here or other people working in the same way.
That's interesting.
It feels a bit isolated in some ways.
It's
it might
funny
just
though,
be me.
because even in Glasgow, there's so many makers and craftspeople, and you're speaking to them, and they have no idea that there's another craftsperson just next door.
Yeah, right.
It's weird how we're not all connected. I just assumed everybody knew each other, but
it must be the pandemic thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. What do I think? I don't know. The pandemic thing definitely something. The other thing is I think we're all, us included, like we're at fault here, wrapped up in our own thing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
despite the fact our whole business model is to go out and see other people, we still spend sometimes days and weeks at a time wrapped up in our own thing.
Yeah.
Because you're all busy, you're all trying to make a living. Like that is priority number one, right? But we've spoke to people that like the building next to them has got someone that's like directly related to what they're doing, and we're like, oh, you should speak to such and such. They're looking to collaborate with such and such about something, and you should talk. And they're like, where are they? Like, who are they?
Yeah.
And
But I think the pandemic has brought a lot of good things as well, because there's a lot of people who have not had the time or the headspace to be like, actually, I could make this a thing, and now are doing it full time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of makers who have come out
of the pandemic, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's.
I guess I did in some ways.
Yeah.
I guess who knows what would happen. A pandemic.
you'd maybe still been on
Exactly.
might be
Rings
a
of
news.
Power.
Yeah.
Maybe
So-
still been there.
You know,
Yeah.
but things happen for a reason, and you know, we talked about this in a podcast recently. It's like you're not ready until you're ready. So I think maybe you were just ready to start. You know.
Yeah, we
You've got
talked
the
about this at
experience.
great length, didn't
Yeah.
we? It's like, because we talked about doing a book or some sort of directory when we left uni. We were like, it'd be great to just feature more makers, designers, people, right?
But just in Scotland at the
But
time.
we just,
yeah.
it would have been just in Scotland. It would have never been as good. It would have been, and yeah, it could have built to be as good, but like, it'd have never quite been what it is now.
No.
Like, you need all those experiences,
Like
triumphs,
everything that
fuck-ups.
you've experienced and built up, that's, you know, allowed you to do what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you said at the start, it's like, I don't know what I could say that I could bring. And I'm like, well, you've just brought a lot already. You know, when you sit and
exactly.
talk about it, you're like, you've done loads.
Aye.
Yeah, you've done absolutely loads to get here, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a big journey, but it still had Steve Rook over the other day, who's a blacksmith just over in Glasgow, near Glasgow, and he was sort of saying, you know, you've done all this sort of stuff, and like I've been doing a bit of fabrication work, to be honest with you, because you've got to keep the money coming in, and I've turned to stuff and I've been doing that, and he's sort of like, it'd be a shame to see you carry on doing that, you know, when you've done all this other stuff, all this creative stuff. And I guess in some ways what you're doing now is figuring out what it is you're going to do. And I was kind of like a bit naive in a way, because I was a bit like, oh no, I already know what I'm going to do. I've written a business plan, I know what I'm going to do. But I actually thought, maybe I don't know what I'm going to do. So I questioned it. I was like, oh no, that's a bit of a scary place to be in when you're trying to run a business, if you don't know the sort of, you know. And then an email came through. They would posted on the Bar whatever newsletter, I think it was, a TV show called Make It a Market.
Yeah. So that's, for people listening, the Make It a Market is how we got in contact with you. The producer at Make It a Market has got in contact with us to speak to you. And we're like, perfect, yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So talk us through that.
So they are a TV show that I think they've had 2 series or 1 series, and they basically take amateurs trying to turn their hobbies into a business, into a viable practice. And I kind of, you know, I've not been in business that long, but I do have a bit of a wealth of knowledge. So is it too much to kind of approach them? Like, it's not really a hobby. Like, but I thought actually it'd be really good as well to sort of get that exposure, and let's just put it in for a punt and see what they say. So spoke to Lauren, told her, like, ranted and ranted as I do, and she listened to my story and she said, no, I think it would be all right, because they've decided to mix it up a bit. So they've got some people that are coming from a few courses of experience, or they've been in lockdown and they've tried this new thing now or whatever, but they can take people a little further on along the journey and bring them in as well, and it just gives a bit of variety, which kind of, you know, nervous about coming on here because the people you've interviewed are like absolutely high standard, and I'm just kind of still just making it all up.
So are we.
Yeah.
It's cool. So are we. Yeah. And by the way, see everyone else that comes across great on a podcast, so are they.
Yeah.
We're all at it.
Solidarity. Every day's a school day as well.
Absolutely.
I thought I'd be learning a lot to come on this and talk to you. And that's what I thought about doing the TV show as well. You know, I thought I'd be learning a lot to just go and do that. And it's a challenge. I'm not mega confident or sociable person. I got
Really push out your comfort zone.
Totally, yeah.
100%. And,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think
It's interesting you say you're not very confident or outgoing
Yeah.
for someone just like rocked up in a van at some blacksmiths across Europe in like totally different countries that speak different language. And like, hey, can I move metal for you?
Yeah, no, it's a weird one, isn't it? What does confidence mean? I think because as well this year I got diagnosed with autism, so that kind of like summed up a lot. It was like, yeah, right, that's why that wasn't working so well in school. That's why that was, various different degrees, and that's not something that I've really been chatting about publicly either, because I'm still sort of working it out. But it has, I do say I'm not confident. Maybe it's just all the ins and outs of being a human that kind of distress you a bit in different situations.
Yeah.
People see confidence differently though, don't they?
Very much so.
Like you say,
Very
what
much
is
so.
confidence?
But yeah, I thought we'll give the TV thing a go. It feels like it wouldn't be too horrible and horrific, and it kind of felt like it was at times, but it was still maybe a good thing. They do a lot for you, and they were really sort of supportive, and I think that as far as TV goes, like this one's great. It's like putting craft on daytime television. It's going to be repeated. It's going to be out in America as well. And again, like even showing lots of different levels of experience, I think is really good. So you've got people that have just discovered willow making or just discovered whatever it is. But then you've got people that have been doing it for a little while and sharing their journey to the wider public is good, because perhaps they'll get into doing stuff that's a bit more practical, and then we change the world by smashing computers and start making crafts. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that train of thought, but the TV show's cool. I got basically partnered with a mentor, a fella called Ian Gill, and I got on with him straight away, like on like a house on fire. Like he's a blacksmith as well. He had a similar journey to me.
So did they try and pair you with, because it's not all blacksmiths on the show, is it?
No, that's right.
But they tried to pair you with a mentor similar to your craft, right?
That's correct, yeah. But also they have a blacksmith on there who's very, very well established, and he's a lovely guy as well, Adrian Wood, and he's I really hope I got his name wrong. I know it's Adrian. I'm pretty sure it's Wood. He'd been paired up with the Smiths, and he was kind of like taking Smiths who had just started to do a bit, or they've been doing a bit for a while, but they want to take it to the next level and run a business. And I kind of there already, and he was saying, what we need actually for someone like me is, what is the business you want to do? And I was like, now I've got two avenues. One is my sort of blacksmithing, architectural courses, yada yada, and one is my own artwork. Now's the opportunity to really try and put the artwork on the platform, because that's the weaker one. This one I could do it all day long, really.
But what's the one you really want to do is the question, isn't it?
Do the fun thing, so put that on the TV. And
exactly. Be known. Put that, the thing that's going to get the most exposure. Is the one you want to do, so put that there, because that's going to be the big all singing, all dancing thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's quite a nerve-wracking thing as well, because that's the one that makes you feel most vulnerable as well.
It's true. You put yourself out there.
Yeah, like your artwork's weird. Like you don't want people to think you're proper weird. Like so, we do it anyway. But yeah, it was good. Like Ian sort of gave me loads of advice about how to market stuff. So I set up the new websites. I'd got into e-commerce. This is something that actually I've probably got a bunch of questions for you too, because the thing that I was noticing with my architectural work was I get a big job. Like when I started business in 2021, I think I was trading in November 2021, I got a 25 grand balcony commission. So I made a balcony with railing, access staircase, some forged details, made the whole thing, finished the whole thing, installed the whole thing with one mate. And yeah, it's a big job. It was my first big job all by myself. Like, oh my God, I've got to talk to the customer. Got to get building survey, all of that, building control, getting a structural engineer, the whole shebang, stuff that I hadn't got much experience in. And then what was my trailer for? I'm doing these bigger jobs. That was it. So the money comes in a big lump sum. And I'm working to private commissions. So I'm sort of I'm advertising a service, and I'm a tradie. I can go kind of pick up work locally. And I can advertise a little bit, but I didn't need that much. And a lot of it is just on Facebook or your van sign painted or your card in the cafe, whatever.
Yep. People
were finding me, and suddenly I had numbers I don't know ringing the phone and stuff. So we're doing that. But then with the artwork and with the business in general, I'm like, what I need is more of those little drops of money, basically, to keep it going a little bit easier. Because when you start business and they say the first 3 years are the hardest, no shadow of a doubt, this is the hardest. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah. It's really, really tested me.
It's really hard.
It's so up and down. It's like,
one day you're like, yes, this is the best thing in the world. Next day you're like, oh my God, I'm just going to end it. It's just, there's no point continuing.
It's like Tesco careers advice.
Yeah, no.
It's serious.
Yeah, it goes that way, man. And it goes that way for everybody. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Like, it goes that way many days for us.
Yeah.
So you're now looking at, is that where like your product stuff comes in? We're looking at like what fills those gaps. So we've got like, talking business wise, we've got your big like balcony or big set of gates. So the big wow projects, right? They're always going to be great when they come in. But you need to fill the troughs. You've got the peaks and troughs, and you need to kind of keep the peaks high, but bring the troughs maybe just not so low.
Yeah. Sure.
Ultimately that's what we're all trying to do, right? Is just like move that baseline.
Totally, man. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So that's kind of where Ian's come in and helped a lot, and the show in general, actually, again, with Make It a Market, this was kind of the chat coming from a lot of the makers, but also the chat that I hear a lot on your show as well. So it's sort of about taking advantage of social media, taking advantage of the sort of new way that people are promoting themselves and doing this and that. So if I'm just working to commission, that's all well and good. But if I want to try and get the online presence up and sell smaller bits and bobs, I need to start building on that part of the business.
Yep.
You need to build your own personal brand. Like, it has to be you.
Aye.
Like, even doing your artwork. We've talked about it numerous times now, but having just like the right brand pictures is so important. Like having just a photographer coming in and just showing, just taking pictures whilst you work and being able to just post that continuously. That's how people are going to find you and your artwork, and it makes a difference. Because when we put a picture of us doing something, our engagement goes like that. Whereas if it's just like a picture of the book, it's like, But, sometimes you just have to include yourself in it.
Yeah.
So
they've been so helpful, those podcasts, to listen to.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've just been like,
good.
Oh, wow. Okay,
that's the reason we do them. So.
I'm not doing that. I need that.
Yeah.
It's really, just connecting people that are in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Don't get bogged down by it.
No.
Because we listen to things and we're like, we're not doing that, we're not doing that, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But don't try and do them all.
No.
Sure.
We've tried that.
Yeah.
It's a crap idea. Just pick a couple of them and do it in, right?
Yeah. Concentrate on a few things every year and don't try to do too much.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good advice.
It's too easy to just be like, and it's, in some ways I find it quite motivating some days, and then other days I find it really demotivating, because one day I'm like, I'm not doing enough, right? We need to do more. How the fuck do we do more? Like, there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
But then other days I'm like, oh, well, that means there's loads of meat left on the table.
Yeah.
So we're obviously, there's more that we need to do to make this a sustainable business. I think every business feels that way. But I'm like, well, there's all these things that we're not doing.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we can't do them yet, but if we build this to a point, and then we can start doing that, So it's got its motivating factors and its demotivating factors.
Yeah, it's almost like, it's good to just be aware of it sometimes, isn't it? Like, future goals are an inevitable thing. Yeah. It was kind of a new venture. I've always had Instagram or Facebook just ticking along in the background. It kind of operates in a few levels, doesn't it? It's like you've got however many followers and they're just your mates and your family and whoever. And then you've got X amount, and that's actually, now you're there's a bit of a tribe going on of enthusiasts.
Tribe's a good way to put it, I like that.
And then it's a big explosion of like weirdos dancing to real like silly music. That might be too far, I'm not sure, but...
Gets the views, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing. Like, so I sort of started the Instagram, and I started scheduling posts as well. So it's coming out a bit quicker. We've still got a really small following, but I'm kind of hoping. But then also, I heard from you the other day on your podcast that it's changed at the moment, the platform, and that people aren't seeing your things. And I'm like, well, I need to educate myself more about how it actually works. Because if I'm investing
that's a full-time job.
Yeah,
Educating yourself is a full-time job. It changes all the time.
Yeah.
It's wild. one of the broadcast channels that I look at quite a lot is I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that basically runs Instagram. He's got a broadcast channel, and he'll often put updates about like what's up and coming, and that's a really nice, easy way to digest what's coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one that I think you're talking about, that you heard us talk about, we've spoke about it a number of times now, is really good photographer that I follow. He's like 1.1, 1.2 million followers, and he posted a screenshot of his engagement the other day. We're at 31,500 followers, and our engagement was considerably higher.
Wow.
Well, it was about the same, a little bit higher. Considerably higher enough, I would say, for someone that's got
all those followers you got,
multiple
you want to
times.
make sure they're engaged followers. There's no point having loads of followers and nobody cares about what you're doing. You know, like you want your people to be interested in what you're posting, because at the end of the day, it's going to help you get seen by more people, because they're going to pump you up in your, I don't know, in the big world of Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram and social media is a hard one. Do you post too much? Do you post too little? I don't think there's a right or a wrong. It's what suits you and what works for you.
I think the way we're approaching it now works very well for us. It's a notice board for us.
Yeah.
Like, it's a notice board. This is what we're working on. There's a, you know, like in the shop, in the notice board. Because ultimately that's how everyone used to advertise, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
In the back of the old grocery store was a notice board. That's what you use it as, a notice board. Unless you're a content creator, and then that's your whole business as a content creator, which I think is a wicked cool business. A lot of people are obviously doing very well out of it, but you don't own the platform that effectively hires you, that pays you, right? So yeah, it's we've been trying real hard to push people towards our newsletter and add a lot of value in our newsletter. We actually posted a poll on our broadcast channel. You know, do you want, you know, maybe 3 a week at a couple of minutes read, or do you want one sort of 10 to 15 minutes read? And I was surprised by that, because I prefer a lot of smaller chunks. A lot of people seem to just want one big one. So it's, I think it's, everyone's audience is different as well. So
You should ask your audience, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting thing, and I guess like being at the beginning of all of that, I'm sort of thinking that the time invested is basically, I want to, so on the grand scheme of things as well, I'm doing big projects, but I'm also then doing courses, and they're the little filler-inners. But if I get some products going, they should also be little filler-inners that can, tie me over. The biggest operation that I'll go into is next, is moving workshop down the road.
Yeah.
But where I'm at with the products, because I can kind of produce them here, but I've not yet got the hammer set up, and I've got a coke forge, but that's not set up. So I'm in a bit of limbo. And it's like, I've got a load of products. If I sell them, then I ain't got anything left to sell. Which is like a cliche, like classic. But I've got the jigs, and I've got the tooling, and I've got the plan to be able to produce stuff.
there is something nice about sold out though.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
There's,
Like
there's
limited
the scarcity
editions.
mindset of like, oh, I really wanted that. The next time it comes up, I'm going to make sure and buy it.
Yeah,
Like, there's something about that.
totally. And there's also a lot of work in getting that product to that stage that is available for sale, isn't it? The photography, the promotion, everything that it takes in the workshop to get a product to, you know, jigs and steel and sizes and finishes and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
That's
sort of,
cute.
it was sort of, the idea was to try and set it up
Cool,
on
shit, I'm
Instagram
gonna
or Facebook, made of metal, it'll be all right, and have bits for sale basically. So doing the e-commerce on the website, and the idea being that you look at the Instagram, if you like the thing, click, you can go to the website and purchase it.
I do recommend Shopify.
Shopify, okay.
By far the
We've
best one.
tried them all,
Right.
and Shopify is
that
by
a
far the best.
platform that you can have on your website, or is that like a
That is the
separate-
website platform.
Yeah, that is website.
Ah,
but you
right.
can put it, you can integrate it into
You
your
can integrate it, yeah. What are you on? Squarespace or something?
Squarespace.
Yeah, to be fair, Squarespace is brilliant.
Yeah.
Squarespace is fantastic. We were on Squarespace for a long time. It's only because we've got subscription and we track loads of analytics and stuff. So the Shopify is a lot. Like, it's great for us because we're like hardcore into that. Probably for simplicity, I do think there's a lot of worth in Squarespace.
Yeah.
Depends what you want from it, I suppose.
And they're doing a lot with Squarespace, so I don't see huge differences for what you're doing.
Yeah.
So the plan is you would have a bunch of, well, it's much like Derek Melton, isn't it? He's got a bunch of products just to kind of tick him over. You know, he'll still do bigger stuff, but yeah, why not?
This was, so on the Make It a Market, we had to do, I think there was 3 challenges. One was volume piece, one was favourite piece, and then one was something else. Your best piece or something, your masterpiece, can't remember.
So is Make It at Market all very directed at businessifying craft?
Yeah, it's about business. Yeah, it's about running businesses as craftspeople.
Which is the hardest part.
Yeah,
That's actually a really good concept, isn't it? Because it's not just about like who's the best whimsical, cool craft person that goes and builds like that sculptor that we speak to, the like 100-foot dragon, right?
Yeah.
Because that's cool, makes good TV.
Yeah.
But like, what do you walk away with after that?
Yeah.
Like nobody's watching TV and go like, I want a 100-foot dragon, sign me up.
Yeah.
Whereas, so you've had, one of the challenges was to do a
Evolve.
volume piece,
Yeah.
which would be your e-commerce piece.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, so on the show, I make figurative sculpture. The workshop is really empty at the moment, but it's because Ian made me put everything in galleries and that. So
cool.
I make like figurative sculptures, and I've kind of designed them so that they were tabletop and like accessible for a gallery to host. Like
nice.
if you go ahead, we all want to make massive sculptures.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
Trying to make it a smaller, accessible thing. So I think I've done 12 of them. They're all acrobatic sculptures. They're
People
similar
love that thing these days, don't they? Just you know,
it's style.
awesome.
It's like
It's awesome.
There's just something about, especially metal sculptures.
Yeah.
Like there's one thing like the sort of scrap metal sculpture, which is cool on big scale, and I love all that. But like forged stuff, because as a layman or as even someone that has an engineering mindset, metal's not supposed to move that way. Yeah. Metal is square edges, right? That's what metal is. Even a lot of wooden furniture now is square edges. So when you see something that's like you're talking about here, or even like the pieces, it's a very different thing.
Moulded.
Yeah, that's it.
I like it.
Sculpted.
One face going backwards and one face going forwards. That's cute.
I know which way that would face on the desk.
It was like, so I'd done the bigger pieces and they were sort of in like the 1,600 kind of price range, smaller 800, and then the volume piece was like between 60 and 200 quid. So I basically stripped the sculpture of all of its detail. There was no facial features, no nothing. It was just like an outline figure.
Right.
And I kind of done that, and I was like, yeah, but I don't really, I don't really like it. And I realised that what I'd taken away in the face was actually where the detail and the interest was at in the piece. Right. So I was like, right, okay, so I go away, I had to do user-generated content, UGC, of me making a volume piece. And I came out, made a volume piece, and I've then had it cast. I've made a mould of it, and I can get it replicated now.
Nice.
So that was the new volume piece. And it's a Janus head. So yeah, it's like a happy and a sad face.
Yep.
And I've made 100 of these.
Cool.
So that's the kind of thing that...
And you've not forged 100 of them, you've forged the one and then cast the 100 from that forge.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I've created a product basically. And then the idea is to put that onto the internet for sale. Yeah. And then I can see if that model of doing business works. Yeah. It's really logical and a kind of... in a different way to how I've normally operated, which is with a customer direct.
And it's amazing the difference that, when you have like your artwork branded and in a nice packaging, like that is a
You're
product.
You're a packaging nerd.
I am. I think it does. It makes such
packaging. What do you think? I think the box is too big, but that's just me.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's too big.
It's the right size because the other one's a bit too small. So
packaging's a hard one, but if you get it right, it's like, it makes the whole customer experience different,
Aye.
I've been doing that recently. Only last week I got the tags made.
Yeah, they're cute.
Got the, and you go to a printers and they're not going to put a rivet thing in there. So I went and bought a rivet thing.
And you did it yourself.
It's just that detail, that extra detail.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got my own, whatever it is, clicker, so you can make the
prices,
different prices and
bit more tactile than just a sticker, right?
Yeah, totally. And also, if you do change the price of them at Christmas or whatever, you can easily amend it.
So how are you finding that journey from the bigger sculptural pieces like gates and stuff to the? Because when a lot of people think of blacksmith, when we announce this, speaking to Jack the blacksmith, people are going to think gates. They're going to think. And much like Derek as well, like not a lot of people think the small e-commerceable products, the small for sale products. That just doesn't seem to, at least for me in my head, it doesn't seem to tie with blacksmithing. I mean, it obviously does, but it's not the first thing. And it probably wasn't the first thing you thought about.
No, not at all, no. I think it's It's a nice journey. It's kind of a little bit trying to think about the longevity of work of iron as well, because this year I've potentially got an apprentice, so I'm actually looking at what kind of batch production stuff could I put them on with.
Cool.
So by having these, say if they were selling regularly, I'm always going to need those cubes making, and I'm always going to need them stamping. I like the branding. I kind of, as an artist as well, like as a visual person, I really like, I'm a bit of a packaging nerd as well. I'm quite into it. When you realise you can get hologramic stickers, I was like, that's really great. So I'm enjoying it, but I think the thing that Ian was getting at with this is that you don't have to put that much energy into making that. I don't even
by comparison to a huge gate or a big sculpture.
Or even making it one off as well. If I made that, the original piece of that probably took me a week, you know, whereas now I can just call up the foundry and get them delivered. So it's a bit of logic that to run a business you need to be bringing money in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to make money, otherwise how do you sustain it?
It's like your breadwinner, right? It's like you're ultimately that's your breadwinner. The little bits that are still very you, because you've made the original piece and it still is your intellectual property and it's still your personality in the piece. But how do you streamline that in such a way that it will pay your rent and pay your propane and pay
and allow you just to have that creative freedom to do other things?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the important bit, I think.
That's a mega for me as well, because I get so much joy out of life having that week experimenting and playing with a project.
You have to have it.
You're constantly getting the idea, and if you don't make that thing, what's the point in being here? Like,
you might as well just go and get a job for somebody else. You know what I mean? So
it goes straight back to that cycle we talked about. Like, if you just want to move hot metal, it would be way easy to just go and get a job for someone else. Like, you've taken the hard route by doing it yourself. How do you make the hard route less hard so that you can do the creative stuff? You know, I think what you've just said there is the key to it. It's the sustainability of it. It's like, how do you keep the bills paid and give yourself time for creativity? Yeah. If you can just phone up the foundry and get X amount of them made and get them sold, which pays your rent for the month, keeps the lights on, keeps propane in the tank, that's what you want, really, isn't it? You want one product line to cover the base and allow you the freedom to just go mad on something else.
Absolutely. And it's sort of this, the other question that kind of came towards me was that because this piece is sort of an entry level or a volume piece to the bigger range of sculptures, it still talks about me as a person. That object is still very much like the style of the world.
Well, because you've still made the original of it, right? I mean, same with artists. You do the original plus prints, right? Yeah. Exactly the same way.
Yeah, totally.
Like, for example, Zoe, the stone carver that we're quite friends with, we did a podcast with her and she was just talking about like how, you know, not everyone can afford my really expensive stone carving, so how can I explore other options where people can afford my art in other ways? So she's taken really good pictures of her sculptures and got them printed really nice and framed really nice, so people can have them as artwork on our walls. So it's just another avenue of how do people enjoy my art but who can't afford my bigger items, but I'm still getting money for it's just thinking about diversifying.
And she's done that really well. You know, like yourself, like she's spent the upfront cost of, you know, you making the thing and her making the thing and you getting it cast. She's spent the upfront cost of getting really good photography done and, you know, testing a bunch of prints and doing all that so that it's still her art, it still exudes the same quality, much like yourself. You know, these still exude the quality that would come out of your shop, but they're not directly with your hands on it. Because not everyone can afford that, but there'll be a lot of people that want to still support you. You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's so it's a nice other string to your bow, that's why, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Within the business now, within Work of Iron, there's sort of like, I still getting one of the really stupid mistakes that I've made was on the website, I'd had it running for 2 years and I'd never got an email through from it, and it had the contact page and all this sort of stuff, and there was only one little spelling mistake on the email address, so I'd never got any, and I was like, oh, that's mental, and there's all these emails that I've missed completely. Changed it, and then suddenly within 2 weeks I had about 5 or something. I was just like, that is so much work. Not that I would have been able to do anything more than I'd already been doing.
No, quite totally, and you can't you annoy yourself when you do mistakes like that, but you can't kind of ponder on them because they're done, right? It's happened. Such is life. Shit time. One thing we encourage people to do, and we have done, is every so often, you know, if we've not seen emails come through the website in a few days, I'll jump on and send a test email, or you know, just and we just kind of, it becomes second
test
nature.
order just to make sure everything's still working.
Like, oh,
so we've had it in the past. We've had it in the past. Like, why are we not getting any orders? What's going on? And there was an issue.
Yeah.
But nobody had told us, and I was like, why can you? But
you can't blame other people.
No, you can't. It's our fault. But,
so you've got the volume piece, which is going to be we hope, going to be the breadwinner, the rent payer.
That's right.
What are the other pieces that you're looking? And
So
we're talking purely work of iron right now. We're talking your expressive piece.
Yeah, so that was nice, and a nice story to bring to this podcast as well. Actually, was the favourite, or no, the masterpiece. Can't remember which one, but that was a sculpture that I made when I was at Steneby in Sweden.
Right.
And I travelled with it in the van and took it all the way back to Stier, because a couple of years ago, Andrea had died actually, and he passed away.
Oh, okay.
And that was quite an end of an era for me. And I had made the sculpture with like a ring that was based on the sculpture that me and Andrea had made at Stier, and then another ring that was based on a sculpture that I'd made with another master smith in Italy. And I made my own ring that was all fire welded together. And it was kind of like the coming of age of the processes that I've learned.
Cool.
And kind of like linking it all together.
Yep.
The whole journey from learning from people to kind of coming into your own or whatever. And I took that to Stier. And then in the middle it had an infinity mirror. So it had a piece of glass that was 40% transparent and then 100% reflective with a candle in the middle. So as you look through the mirror, the flame goes off into infinity.
Ah, cool.
And that was kind of like a homage to Andrea Iori, who's like I've a lot to thank him for. And that sculpture was then I've taken it to make it a market to show that, to kind of show my journey or whatever. And then we put all the other sculptures in some galleries. So the Arts and Craft Collective in Newington and Logan Mollock in Leith, Fire and Iron Gallery down in Leatherhead, and Flaming Ladies of Hay in Hay-on-Wye.
Nice.
I've just got rid of all these sculptures because I had so many of them. Like my whole flat is just full of metal. Like, it was kind of time to get rid of them. Or not get rid of them, but at least put them out in the world.
Put them,
They're not doing anything in your flat,
right?
I keep going to exhibitions with them, and how it just feels like a nice time to try and get all that
your
stuff
work
out
there.
And are they available in the gallery for people to buy as well?
Yeah, everything's available at the moment, and it was on the website as well. But yeah, I'd finished the TV show a couple of months ago, I think, and I think it comes out at the end of November or beginning of December, I'm not sure. I have no idea what it looks like. And
That's exciting for you, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's exciting. I don't sleep anymore, and it feels like quite a lot of pressure in a weird way. But I also feel like it's a good thing to do. I think when you're really serious about what it is that you do, you should try and share that. And then by doing that, maybe some other people might be inspired to go and do stuff as well.
No, absolutely.
It'd be great. But
the more people that know about you goes for any business in the world. The more people that know about you, the more sustainable your business will be, because you'll make more money. But it doesn't matter what the business is. The more people that know about you, it's going to be better for business, isn't it?
The better, yeah, for sure. And this is sort of a really nice tangent that I'm on now, is that I'd spent last year in a really well-established forge in Edinburgh, and rented a small bit of space off of them. They were really helpful, get me off my feet. Again, the blacksmithing community has just helped me.
That's cool.
It really has carried me along in lots of ways.
Yeah.
So you're always trying to give back as well.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
Is that what motivates you to get an apprentice on?
Yeah, totally. In fact, the thing with the apprentice is also for Scotland, in a way, how much blacksmithing goes on up here. He was told, Jamel was told that if he wants to take it up as a career, he's got to go looking south, basically.
Really?
And I don't know, but now I'm here, maybe, he's got lucky and he's got a place to work for a bit.
Yeah.
And
You've created an opportunity for somebody else.
Yeah.
Which is really quite special.
And I don't think there's that many people in Edinburgh that are doing what I'm doing. Like in terms of blacksmithing, like we're all using it as a thing, as a logo. But when you actually come into the forge and we're heating stuff up, swinging hammers, throwing hot metal about, fire welding it together, all singing, all dancing, blacksmithing.
Yeah, like real blacksmithing, right?
So when do you do your classes then? Do you host them quite regularly, or?
I have been doing, yeah.
I'm just going to adjust that mic maybe a bit there because it's just slipping down a touch.
There you go. I do. I use craftcourses.com.
Okay.
So they're a Welsh company, but they do it across the board for craft. But they just take all the administration off my hands, which is fine, and I'm happy to pay for that.
Cool.
And every time I've got 3 listings, one's for ski and do, one's for axe making, and one's for intro to blacksmithing. Oh, and there's a Repousse one as well. I have 5 people.
I'm sorry?
Repousse.
What's that?
So it's copper Repousse. You can do it in steel as well, but it's sheet metal bashing, but with punches.
I quite like that.
It's like creating
Is that like the ferroformer kind of stuff?
Yeah,
It's like
I think so.
how Derek done our little coffee
I think
with a
so.
swage block and stuff, and you're knocking it in.
Is it not?
You can use lots of stake irons, and you could use a swage, but you can often you basically beat it out into a sandbag, and then you can put pitch
I have seen this.
in the back.
Yeah, okay.
It just creates a small, like a shallow relief in sheet metal. I get 100mm copper sheets, and I have everyone round, and then they just draw their thing on there and then line it up, and it takes about 5 hours. Everyone drinks loads of tea. It's like really easy going, nice sociable thing to do.
We need to do one.
Yeah. That'd be amazing to have you over and doing a bit.
We'll do that. We've been talking about like doing
This is our next big one.
little series of us going and trying to learn the craft with different people, just to see what it's like, because it's just, why not?
Yeah, so we're currently booking one in with Zoe, the
Stone
carver.
carver, yeah.
So we'll put after this we'll work out some dates.
Yeah, that'd be
Just
great.
come in, we'll get Danny, our video guy, or we'll get a good video guy in. No, Danny's not good. Of course, Danny's good. Danny's fantastic. Get someone in and just video it. More like as much for you guys to like show what your courses are, but as much for us to just
Be selfish.
Have
I want
a
to learn
good-
something.
Yeah, enjoy the process.
I'm going to be
as well.
selfish for this business for the next year and start learning
it.
some shit.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I just really like how you've gone about it as well, because it really does have that parallel to how I did my journeymanship.
Yeah.
And like, I think I remember you saying like, I just really like people, and I really like people as well. And that was the thing, going through the journeyman and just meeting lots of really old people as well,
Yeah.
And
They've got a lot
just-
to, give you.
Yeah, a lot to say.
I think there's a lot of people, especially in the craft space, and especially older men and women, and certainly some of the more obscure craft that have just never been heard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've never had somewhere to tell their stories. Some of the stories are wild.
You need to listen to Paul Hamler.
Okay.
He's guy that in Georgia that we went to. He's 80 years old, and
Blairsville, Georgia.
and he does all the like miniature stuff. Like, it's insane. And like, he's never done a podcast before, so like for him
He
to
did it
just
like
tell
40 odd years. He used to work at NASA.
Yeah.
And then decided to make his own miniatures.
Wow.
For like 40 years, never told his story.
He taught, when I was there last, he was teaching me how to engrave.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm just like, this guy is just full of knowledge.
Yeah.
And like doing a podcast on it was just so exciting. Like just
Oh, that
talking
sounds
about his
awesome.
journey.
Yeah.
Being able to podcast with someone like at that age and then podcasting with someone who's really young, it's the difference is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, look at the difference between podcasting with you and then versus someone like Paul. And then hopefully we're still doing this in 40, 50 years and coming back and talking to you in like 5 years' time, 10 years' time. Like, that'll be a really cool series.
Yeah, man.
Like the long term for this is like, Jack and Kate went and spoke to this person when he was like 2 years out of lockdown, set up, and then like, look where he is now. Matthew, you've got the shop that they've built the shop around the power hammer kind. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
that's
totally.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, you get real like pockets of wisdom from people, don't you? And it seems like the older you get as well, it's so like refined, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really becomes like, crystal clear what they're talking about. Or whatever.
Yeah, they've made all the mistakes.
Yeah.
And like you say, refined. Like they can they're not muddling their way through trying to tell you what to do. They're just like, do this, this and this.
There's some things you just need to fail at though.
Yeah.
On your own and be like,
Yeah, that's
wow,
a side of it too.
it's good that you did fail because you learned a lot from it.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I got the next big step, which is to move to this new workshop down the road. So this is 28 West Harbour Road. and West Shore Road, and we're going to go to 23 West Shore Road, which is, if you know Edinburgh at all, there's a big gasworks, and opposite the gasworks is this huge warehouse. I don't know how long it's been derelict for, but it used to be apparently a car manufacturer's.
Okay.
So big, you know, like stuff goes in, car comes out, kind of size, and it's completely empty. But they had a festival there a couple of years ago, and I exhibited and had all my artwork in this space.
Nice.
I met my partner at the time, who's now my partner. We met there as well, and like, so there's a few things that kind of make it feel like it's the right move.
Nice.
And because it's going to get taken on by Edinburgh Palette, that means that I think they're a charity, they're an arts charity, so they're there to support artists and craftspeople get up off their feet. They've got like Margaret's house, so they have this big building in Edinburgh, and they rent out small studio spaces to people, but they're going to rent out this unit. And I met the architects for a meeting last week, and they're calling it Plan A because there's no Plan B, and it's basically a circular economy hub.
Okay.
And what they're looking for is businesses, small businesses, local businesses that all promote circular economy. So rather than a linear, you know, we're going wasting, disposable society, it's all about trying to have cross-pollination between the businesses that are there, and promotion for sustainability, promotion for local people, all this sort of stuff. And it sounds really great, and it's affordable, and it's 1,500 square feet workshop with 3-phase, a flat floor, and it's dry. I can't
all the key things.
And I'm glad they're using the building for something good.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just ripping it down.
That's exactly it. It's like, this is the fight. I mean, there's not anywhere in like this in Edinburgh. No. And in fact, there's not really anywhere like this in the UK that could have that circular economy. It's really, really rare and special. And hopefully they pull it off. And if they do, that's me sort of, I don't know, hiring a forklift truck from over the road and going up and down. It's not far to move.
No.
And
handy.
And then we're in business in a big way.
And when would that be?
They're looking at November.
Oh,
so
wow.
as soon as that. They've got to build some walls and bits and bobs, but they also have to get somebody in there. So time's ticking.
Yeah, and, you'll be the first one moving then.
Yeah, well, this is it, because they're like, okay, well, we're going to need quite a bit of stuff fabricated. We're going to need staircase. We're going to need this security. We're going to so we'll get a forge in first, and we'll we'll sort it out. Like,
we'll get a forge in first and work them to death in the first 6 months.
I hate it. Yeah, no, it'll be.
What does that feel like for you as a business, moving to it's a bigger space, it's a little bit more official? It's like, I know this is official, of course it is, and all the other stuff you've done official, but it's like
just the next step.
Like, we're in like a 3 metre wide by 8 to 10 metre long. Like, it's a big space. It's another big opportunity. Like, everything in your story so far that you've told us is like opportunity, 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 and all of them come with, you know, feelings, thoughts, doubts, I'm sure, as well. This one feels like a big move. From the way you're talking.
Yeah, this one feels like, for me, it's more of a kind of catalyst to everything that I've been making.
Nice.
And it's because I've done combat conditions for a long time now. I've roughed it, like, it's been rugged.
Yeah.
And I feel like to have a place that you know is really secure, it's really dry, it's really reliable, it's got the, you know, adequate facilities, all of those things benefit your making.
Yes.
I kind of remember that said to me a long time ago, that if you're working in primitive environments, then your work becomes primitive. Not to disvalue the work, like maybe that's the attraction about the thing, but equally, like, if I want to be trying to aim quite high with what I'm making, then I need the correct facilities, basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I'm up for it. I mean, initially, perhaps I will rent out some of the space as well. Yeah. Like, I can sublet it. I've got a mate that's an engraver. I know there's some other people about that are interested, so I might be able to sort of divide the space up a little bit to begin with. But ultimately, I really want to work on a large scale, and I also want to be useful and to have work coming in and out of the door, and just have a busy environment and have people involved in it. I don't want to just be one-man band. I'd like an apprentice, some sort of journeymans coming through as well. That'd be cool, you know. I've gone over to all these different countries. Let's have, people coming over here and seeing what goes on in Scotland. And
it's cool.
What you said there resonates, both with myself and with a lot of the crafts people we've spoke to. You want to be useful. Because ultimately I think that's what we're all yearning for. You know, whether you're in IT or whatever you're in, like we want to be used as human beings. We de facto want to be useful, right? And as a craftsperson, to be useful at the thing you're very passionate about, that to me is it's done, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm useful because ultimately, if you're useful, that means there's demand for you. That means the money's coming in the door, so the business side's taken care of. But if you're useful at the thing you're passionate about, that for me is the one.
Yeah.
That's where it's like made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, in what way are you useful? So work of iron hopefully makes good quality, you know, nice, like really well made, and really visually interesting and suitable for whatever its environment is. That benefits people because it's going into a general, you know, public space, or even if it's in a private space, people are still going to be seeing this stuff. So that's its use. Like, it looks good and it's made really well and it's in the circular economy, so it may have benefited me, but also X, Y, and Z other businesses within that economy. Then with the artwork, it's like, if I give myself that time to be trying to make the things that I want to talk about, whatever they are, whatever those topics are, that's then hopefully useful as well. Because I like to go to exhibitions. Like, I like that in Edinburgh. I like going to see people's work and stuff as a day out, and it makes you think.
Yep.
I had the courses that I ran as well after the pandemic. A lot of people actually no, there's two things that were quite good. One of them was that it was people coming out. I had one fella who had left his partner and the house was in a, you know, who's going to have the house, all this terrible situation. He's having a troubled time. It's just like, I'm basically doing craft courses, I'm doing fun stuff to make myself happy. I was like, mate, that's so good. Like,
that's the one, isn't it?
Craft therapy is real. And
it's real.
And I got something out of that as well. I've been through the mill. Like, we both just sat there and related to each other and had a good time. And like, what a wonderful way to spend the day. And
you feel so much better after it.
Yeah. And then the other one was couples. When I do the repousse, people come through as a couple.
I love it.
And like, I'm a cupid now as well.
Yeah.
All these couples sitting around doing the courses.
Community aspect, though, isn't it? Like, it's the community aspect of
that's what people are
craftsmanship.
yearning for, is
I think
connection and community and all those good things.
I think everything's a bit disconnected at the moment, and it's really cool to see the course side of craftsmen. Because people will become more attracted to it because it's accessible, because that's really what's not accessible, isn't it? Like, if I want to, like, as I say, way back when, done a bit of blacksmithing and stuff, if I want to do that now, I need to go and find anvil, find blacksmith vice, you know, find bench, there was a really good reel I seen the other day, actually, is like, when you see that thing that's like 50 quid chopping board, and you're like, I could do that myself. And it's like, you spend 49 quid in wood and 3,500 on this chop saw and the tools to make it, and you're like, that's why nobody's doing it, right? Because you need all that stuff. Whereas the courses, you're just coming here. Not only are you getting your skills, you're getting the equipment. It just makes it so accessible. And go back to Bill and Shannon Oyster. There's a lot of people that have made very, very successful, reluctant to say businesses because it's a side of their business. It's not their business, it's a side of their business. Doing the crafts courses. And a lot of them use it for exactly what we talked about with the e-commerce products, to like bit of a boost in budget, so I can then go and do a creative month. Do a month of courses, creative month of courses, creative month. It works. It's great.
It's a good
service. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's my latest product as well, was doing the gift voucher for the courses. Just at Christmas, one thing to be said is that there are, a lot of the time, people from Edinburgh. Some people come through from Glasgow, but it's not really tourists that come and do my courses. It's local people, that's cool. Which feels good.
See, so it's another little thing.
And in this area as well. I had another chap that came through, and his dad worked at a foundry down the road and knew the area really well for what it was back in the day. So there's a lot of history here as well. That
cool.
feels important.
Nice.
What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
If I knew I couldn't fail?
Yeah.
Jump off a mountain. Jump off a cliff. I kind of like this arts centre vibe. I think that yeah, they're called the Centre for Metal Arts. That's where Pete Matilla's been recently, and they've got a really big industrial. Have you heard of this place, Centre for Metal?
No.
They've got a really big industrial. I think it was a harbour. I'm not really sure, but a big industrial forge, a huge hammer. And I remember the fella coming over to the UK and saying, "We're going to build it around that. That's the business. We don't know what it's going to be, but this is like, what can we produce on this machine?" And what he's doing is large-scale sculptural workshops now.
Okay.
So he's getting cool artists from all over the world coming and running workshops. You sign up to the thing, you join in, and you're all forging together as like a group for a week or so, making a sculpture. If I couldn't fail, I'd do something similar.
Yeah.
It would just be like getting people that would be interested in coming together and making a sculpture. When we're all, I am about people. I think coming together is a thing for sure. Because you can't do it by yourself as well. It's a bit heavy and dangerous.
Yeah.
There's a bit of that. There's a sculptor guy, I think they go to Norway or Iceland, I'm not sure which, but they have a big block of ice and they all go, and then they get a couple of days with chainsaws and they can carve whatever they want. That'd be, something like that.
He loves that. Like, he's so into that. And I think for the same reasons. It's the community, it's the drinks afterwards, it's the social side of it. Because, like, other than us being here today, like, how many days in a row were you here with nobody here? Just banging metal, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the case for most craftsmen or women, craftspeople. It's like having the community side of it is the one. We've often talked about it, like, if money was no option, it's like, we'd open something big. Like, our office above, just open space. You know, I like the artist in residence thing. I like what Marchment have done. You know, they've got makers in residence. I like all that. I think that's cool. I like to see what can come just of passing conversation.
Yeah, and bringing people together. Like, what differences can that make? Bringing people together.
Yeah. What wild stuff could come out of that? You know. That'd be cool.
And it's sharing as well, isn't it? It's like, knowledge is only something when it's shared. Knowledge is only something when it's shared.
Yeah, I know that quote. What is it?
I don't know. You may educate me here.
I'll need to find it.
But yeah, it's true. It's this. I think you know, that was one thing that happened when I was doing the masters at Edinburgh. I was sat with a lot of the artists, and they were like, "Who do you make your work for?" I make my work for myself. I was like, that's like, I don't know, what about everyone else wanting to have a look and enjoy it? I don't know. Yeah. I know we kind of do in some respects, you know, like if we are trying to just crowd please and we're trying to be popular, then it's a bit of a, I don't know, you should be doing what you think is right. You should be doing what you think is...
That podcast with the flute maker in Belgium, again, Winnie, yeah. Yeah, he was talking about, like, he only creates the flutes that he'd be happy with. Like, he only
His
creates...
business model's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously worked very hard to be able to get it to a point.
No, I was just saying, like, he only creates it, like, for him, and then he sells it. As in, like, he doesn't really do it for other people, and that's how he's run his business.
So the way he does it is he's got a waiting list. So he's got X amount of people on the waiting list.
Yep.
And he finds to dumb it down, the stick, right? It makes the flute, plays a tune, posts it to this group of however many 100 people are on the waiting list, and he's like, this is the one I've made. First person that puts the money in his bank gets it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you wanted them to do something different and you felt you were further up the list, doesn't matter. He makes what he wants to make.
Yeah.
Because he felt he got trapped by looking at the waiting list and being like, oh, I've got that to make, then that to make, then that to make, then that to make. He was like, that's not why I got into it. I got into it to make what I want to make, so these people appreciate what I make.
Yeah.
I'm going to make exactly what I want to make.
Yeah.
Then if you want it, you can have it. If you don't want it,
you're going to have to wait until I've made that one.
I make what you want. And I was like, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
like,
fantastic.
But also really brave.
Yeah.
Really, really brave for you to be like, well, this is what I'm making. Someone's like, well, I want that, but a little bit different, and I want this on it, and I want that on it. And you're like, that's not what I'm making.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you've got people like Tim Cullen, the pen maker, who he's really motivated by making sure they get exactly what they want.
Yeah.
So it's still so there will be times where he's like, that's not what I do. I'm fully against that, but very rare. He's like, I want to take your vision. He's maybe more the engineering of making the pen.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'll take your art, and he is an artist, I don't mean that to discredit him, but he's like, I'll take your vision, combine it with my vision, and then we'll make a pen out of it.
Yeah.
But it's all about making sure they get what they want. So there's two very different parallels to that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Just whatever works for you it is the best way to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Yeah. Don't make life hard for yourself.
No.
Quite frankly.
It's already hard.
Yeah, it's hard enough.
Ain't that true?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to cover? This has been so easy. This has been great.
Puck it out. That's another thing. You don't really, as you say, you're working by yourself often, so you don't really do that social interaction a lot. But again, with the courses, you get that. You know, you get to spend the day chatting. But then it knackers me. I'm done for the day. I'm so
Social battery's drained.
Yeah, man. But, no, I don't know what to cover. I'm kind of on a bit of a mission. I think the show comes out before Christmas.
Yep.
It might get pushed back. I don't know. I was really happy with it. I had a great time meeting Ian, and it's been I think I won't give too much away, and you can try and watch the show if you get a chance.
BBC, isn't it?
Yeah, and it'll be on the iPlayer as well, so you can watch it on the catch-up. And on there, it's just like me going on a bit of a journey, kind of thinking I know what I'm doing, then going, oh, hang on, no idea. No, it'll be all right. We've got some ideas. So trying to put those ideas where they're best suited and dividing the practice and seeing what that looks like.
I think that'll be relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You think you've got an idea and then you're like, oh, no, not that one.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. False confidence or something, who knows. But yeah, I'm just in the stage where I feel really close. I feel like I've been trying and trying and trying.
So you're just gonna be like this soon.
I'm right.
Yeah.
And if I get in there into this new workshop, and you know, by the end of the week, this one will be for sale on the 1st of December. That'll be my first venture into e-commerce and trying to do the internet thing, getting that going, getting in the new workshop, get those courses in. And just, all in basically, and see what happens. If you don't try, you won't, you'll never know. So I just...
How much of that's excitement and how much of that's overwhelm at the minute? Because that's a lot.
Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate your guys' knowledges, because I bet because you've had these conversations, you've got that information in your head that is like, you're on that level, you understand where I'm coming from. It's really, it means a lot to be able to share this with you. I think there is some excitement, because if I think about the future and I think that it can work, and I know that it can work, then I see it being a great space to be in. Yeah. I see, an apprentice, I see the jobs coming in that are exciting, that feel good, and perhaps, who knows, I don't want to go too big too soon. I'm not trying to be really silly. I'm not trying to be the big I am. I'm literally just trying to make a living doing what I love. Yeah. And if I could be in there doing that and it's successful, then I'm going to be really happy. Yeah. I think
you can see the vision. You've got the vision.
Yeah.
You just need to put it in place, which seems to be
you're
on the right track.
The mission. So that's what I keep telling myself. So the days when you're like, what am I doing here? What is this? How do I? Yeah. That is really, really difficult. I don't know how much I want to go. I think in my personal life, I've been a heavy smoker since I was about 15, and I've quit smoking about 6 months ago. I've not been smoking. I've stopped drinking. I've been doing abstract things like going to the gym. I'm literally on a mission.
Abstract things,
really abstract. What am I doing?
All things good for your body.
Yeah. I'm totally getting on a bit of a health trip. I started surfing.
Nice.
Yeah, I was surfing on Sunday. The waves out in Dunbar are amazing. Right. It's
is that motivated by wanting to do this better?
Yeah, totally. It's longevity. I've partied a lot, and I want to look after myself, and I want to go into, I want to get as much out of life as I can. And
if you look after you, then everything else is going to be better.
Yeah. It gets to that stage, after the 30, you're kind of like, what are you going to do? How do you want to do it?
Dude, and it's probably a surprise till, I hate training. I hate it. I think I've done 27 CrossFit classes on this month, and it's the 24th of the month. I hate it with a passion. I hate going there. I hate when I'm in. but I know I perform better because of it.
Yeah.
And you know, when we're staying with Ben and stuff, and we're talking about training, and Ben's, you know, a big guy, great trainer. He's had a sort of fitness life as well, and before he got into the leather work and the saddle making, and like I was explaining this, and I was like, I hate training.
Yeah.
Like, but that's okay. It's okay to hate that.
Yeah.
But it's the type 2 fun of it. It's the type 2 fun where it's like, I enjoy it because I know it makes everything else easier.
Yeah.
And it makes the performance easier. And I mean, like, I've been grossly overweight at times in my life, and I'm certainly more overweight now than I should be, but the training side of it makes all of the business side easier.
Yeah.
Because you can just do more. It's as simple as that.
Well, I like CrossFit because you can't think about anything else.
Aye.
You just focus on the
headspace.
Yeah. Like you can't think about, I've got that email to do, I've got this, I've got that. Like you just can't, and that's what I like about it. It's a real switch off.
Yeah, totally.
So
and it's
having
not just
that,
sitting in front of the screen and feeling relaxed, is it? It's like you're actually putting your body through a thing that's going to make you feel good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So well,
Which for us is important because we're sat at a PC or sat doing this most of the day. For you, training and swinging hammers, that must be quite a lot.
Can be. I think the swimming is a great one, but then I'm living in Sweden, I'm well into saunas as well.
Yeah.
I love the sauna, man. I like the sauna, I like the steam room a lot.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's the one. They're mad keen on it over there, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, I've got one last question. What advice would you give your younger self?
Do you ask that to everyone as well? Yeah. Oh, damn it! Why don't I get the end? What would I ask myself? What would I say to the younger self? I don't know. Probably some things I shouldn't share on camera. No, I'd say you're doing all right, pal. Chin up.
Yeah. Cool. That's all you
keep at it.
Yeah.
I think
keep at it.
That's the common. There's a few commonalities. One of them's definitely don't be as hard on yourself, but they all kind of come back to just keep going. Like no matter what, just keep going. And I think that's the important one. That's probably the biggest commonality. Everyone says it differently, but I think it all boils down to just keep going.
Yeah. No,
Jack, I've well enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I'm well glad you and the guys at the BBC reached out.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it on TV.
Yeah.
We'll
I'm looking forward to coming back when you've got the new shop. We should definitely, when the new shop's all set up and you've got the courses running, Katie and I will come and book a course.
I'd love to see that, that'd be great.
No.
I think as well with the Make It a Market lot, there could be future avenues there because they're churning out, I think it's like 30 odd craftspeople per season.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just been bought by America. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's just been bought by America as well. Yeah. So it went from, you're going to get 3 million views to now you're going to get
loads.
America, just like America's
massive.
a different planet. Like there's just so many craftspeople. Like you'd never be able to touch the surface.
We could spend a lifetime in America and not
never
make a dent
touch the
in it.
surface. Yeah.
It's also fucking gargantuan.
Yeah.
Like Georgia, the first state we flew into is 4 times the size of Scotland.
Scotland's this size, and America's like
Texas is like, what was it, 2.8, 3 times the size of the whole of the UK, including Northern Ireland and the islands. It's like, it's just bonkers. Yeah. Like, it's a different scale. It shouldn't be one country. It's fucking 52 countries. I think, I looked at it one day, if you take like the map of America and overlay it in the UK with Washington State, which is northwest, if you lay that over Scotland, I'm sure New York's in like Moscow or something like that.
Right.
It's just like big, you know? It's a big old number, like.
It's magic, yeah.
So, mate, really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for having us.
I'm
sure you've got plenty to get on with, and we've just come and cramped your style for a day. So.
Not at all.
And it was super easy. You came across super well, and thank you so much.
Real pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.